All right, this video is all about using AI to create and optimize digital ads. Everybody talks about testing when it comes to digital advertising and growth strategies, but not very many people talk about how and what to test. Many marketers have a hard time getting out of their own heads, and they simply create a few different versions of the same exact ad to test over and over again. But today I'm going to show you how to use AI to craft tons of persuasive digital ads worth testing. The prompt sequence that I'm about to share with you will ensure that you're casting as wide of a net as you possibly can with your ads, and this is key for getting the best ROI possible on your ad spend. I've been running a marketing agency for 10 years, and I've worked with some of the largest tech companies in the US, and I can tell you that strong campaign copywriting might be the hardest and most important skill to develop. I truly believe that this can significantly improve all of your advertising and marketing efforts, so let's jump in. All right, so we're going to start by creating a LinkedIn ad that points people to a blog post. I grabbed a fairly random blog post. It's for a provider of healthcare software services, and it's fairly unique and nuanced. I figured that would help rather than some generic example. So while this is an example showing a way to create LinkedIn ads pointing to a blog post, it can be used for many other things, such as pointing Facebook ads to a landing page or Google search ads to a option to buy something. And I'll go through at the end of the video all the different ways that you can tweak this prompt sequence for the various platforms out there. I should note that I do have a cheat sheet version of all this with all of the prompts that you can easily just copy and paste right into ChatGPT or whatever large language model that you're using. This is available to my Patreon supporters. I have cheat sheets for this as well as all of my other videos in there. So jumping right into the prompt sequence, these are the first two prompts I use with Vox Script enabled. So I don't use a whole lot of the ChatGPT plugins, but this Vox Script plugin is one that I do come back to quite a bit anytime I want to browse the web. I either use Perplexity AI or I use ChatGPT 4 with Vox Script enabled. So the first prompt here, and I'll show you exactly what ChatGPT returns here in a second, but the first prompt is, please list all the benefits a healthcare provider can gain from reading the following blog post. So the audience for this is healthcare providers, and then there's a link to the blog post there that we're going to be pointing some ads to. And then the second follow-up there, please list all the pain points that this blog post addresses. So let's jump in and see here. We've got the plugins enabled. This is the Vox Script plugin. If you're unsure how to do that, there are other videos, but you basically scroll over. You need, first of all, ChatGPT Plus, the paid version. You scroll over the top area and it'll allow you to search for plugins, add this Vox Script plugin, and enable that plugin. Should be fairly cut and dry. There's probably a million other YouTube videos on that. Okay, so you can see here that I have asked it to please list the benefits that a healthcare provider can gain from reading the following blog post with a link to that blog post. And here it is returning all of the different benefits of this blog post that is specifically how healthcare providers can serve people with limited English proficiency, LEP. These are deaf, hard of hearing individuals, etc. So it's a fairly nuanced blog post. I wanted to give you an example that wasn't too general, that would actually work with some of the campaigns or some of the businesses that you may be promoting out there. It pulled together a great list of the benefits of reading this article. Then I followed up with, please list the pain points that this blog post addresses. And it does a great job of some of the pain points that these folks may be experiencing. Jumping back here to the next prompt, this one is really the crux of what we're going to be going through today. So please create 50 headlines for LinkedIn ads based on these benefits and pain points. The headlines need to be less than 70 characters each. That's because that's what LinkedIn's criteria is, and they should include a wide variation of tone, including professional versus casual, positive versus negative, urgent versus non-urgent, direct versus indirect. Please make sure that half of the headlines from each category are questions, because questions often are some of the best headlines, and this is a mix of going in pretty much every direction that I can think of, getting a wide variety of potential headlines to test. And we'll obviously be moving on to the body copy here in a second, but let's see what this returned. You can see it pulled together a wide list. Some of them are questions. It says here's the casual tone, positive tone, negative tone, urgent tone. That is a good starting point, branching out in all these different directions. Like I said earlier, you don't want to just write the same ad over and over. You want to start with a very wide test to see what resonates. I think that's one of the biggest issues with A/B testing is it's very hard. Once we've created this blog post or whatever, we have an idea of what we think the pain points and the best benefits of whatever we're promoting are. And oftentimes that may be different, may be the same, but you want to at least test all these different things and get out of your own head. And that's one of the greatest things I think that ChatGPT can help with. Moving right along here. Prompt 4, please select the 4 that seem the most dramatically different from one another. So of these 50, we want ChatGPT to pull out the 4 that are very different from one another. Does a great job here, pulls some from the professional, from the casual, from the negative, from the urgent. And you can obviously point this in any direction. If there's a few of these that really jump out at you that you like, or if they're all off for some reason, just say, hey, these are all off for X reason. Please generate it again with that in mind. But pretty quickly here, you should be able to pull together 4 that are very different from one another and start getting into this zone of finding things that are worth testing. Now, making sure that tone matches up. So while ChatGPT, a lot of these can be pretty sensational, because I think most of sales copywriting over the years has been very sensational. And a lot of that, frankly, I don't know that it all resonates that well. Some of it may be worth testing. I don't know, but trust your gut. And obviously, if you're going to be pitching these to a client or to an internal team, you may not want to throw the wildest stuff out there. You may want to test it a little bit. I've found that really reeling in the tone a little bit from what ChatGPT generates can be helpful here. So this prompt I thought was nice. Please revisit the web page mentioned earlier and adjust the headline based on the tone used on that page. Pay attention to the language style and any emotional cues. So reeling these headlines in a little bit to match whatever page you're driving the traffic to. That's also good because whoever's clicking on that, it'll be similar to the page that they are about to land on. So ChatGPT did a great job of rewriting these so that they are a little more in line with the blog posts that we are pointing this traffic to. Moving right along here. For each of these, now create a 170 character introductory text to help grab the attention of whatever your audience is. Put that in here and drive engagement. So this 150 character count is what LinkedIn ads requires. That's why it's there. LinkedIn calls this introductory text. Facebook calls it something different. We're going to go through those specifications here in a second of all the other different platforms and how you can adjust this prompt sequence to create ads for other platforms. And again, you put in your audience here. The more you know about the audience, the more clearly you can define that in here, the better these ads are going to turn out. You can see now we're moving along. ChatGPT has now created the body copy for all of these, or the introductory text, as LinkedIn calls it. And you might want to double check these as far as how many characters they actually are. They may not always be perfect. I've noticed ChatGPT doesn't always nail it with the character counts I give it. So you might want to double check that at this point, or I'm sure when you're going to load up the ads, it'll tell you that you're over the character count and you can adjust then. Okay, moving along. Please suggest some imagery that might get a high click-through rate for each of these ads. All of these LinkedIn ads and most of the ads you're going to be working on, with the exception of Google search ads, probably are going to have some sort of visual element these days. Asking ChatGPT for some ideas there can really be helpful. Pulls together some ideas for imagery. These are things that you can then go search on stock imagery sites for, on Unsplash, on some of the royalty-free resources out there to find these great imagery ideas for your ads. And now you want to save this chat. So you should have the basics of what you need to get this campaign going. Now you want to grab that top arrow and copy this link to this chat. You may know very well how to do this, or you may not, but saving your chat history can be very helpful before you go and test, because you're going to want to come back to this chat history after you've run your initial test to continue to optimize and fine tune. You can share the chat by clicking that. That creates a little link where you can then store that somewhere handy for once these are all tested. So we're moving into the testing phase here. And in preparation for this video, I looked into what the significant relevance is for a significant test. And I have some of that in the cheat sheet, all about the statistical significance. So you want to get within a 95% statistical significance. And there's a lot of different things that go into this. I have an example of a sample size calculator that you can grab in there. But if you just want the caveman dumbed down version of this, trying to get it within that 7,000 to 15,000 views. So if you can show this ad to somewhere between 7,000 and 15,000 folks, you're going to get a pretty clear idea of what the actual conversion rate of that is, whether that's conversion rate means just an opt-in or viewing the blog post, whatever it is. That's the quick and dirty of statistical relevance. And again, that all depends on your conversion rate. You can look into it online, or you can grab the cheat sheet if you want to learn more about that. But at this point, go out and test those 4 ads. I wouldn't test a whole lot more than 4. I wouldn't test less than 4. You might want to do 2 at a time, depending on how your process works, where you're testing one against another and see what wins, then bring in a new contender and do that true A/B test. Or depending on your platform, your skill set, your process, you may want to just dump all 4 into LinkedIn or whatever your platform is and run that test. And then you're going to find whichever one is the winner, and we're going to double back on that. So you say potentially ad number 3 has performed the best. Can you please come up with 3 additional variations for this ad? Please keep some elements the same, but vary some of the benefits, pain points, and tone. Make sure they are different enough to make for a good A/B test. Here are 3 additional variations of ad number 3. And now you've found what has worked best by just casting that net very wide. And now you can double down on improving that by doing more variations of the one that worked the best. You may have found that 2 worked well and hit on different audiences. So you may want to break those into different ad groups and continue to optimize on 2 directions. But this will get you going in the right direction of actually, again, casting that net very widely with all sorts of different potential angles, and then now doubling down into 4 more that are similar that you can then test against that winner, and just keep that process going until you've got something that you're happy with. Awesome. Moving back, we are getting towards the end of the presentation here. If you wanted to do this for Google search ads, here is my understanding of the current character count guidelines here. I would recommend just 1 headline there, 30 characters each, descriptions, 90 characters each. You can use the exact same process we just went into there, and you might want to sneak a little bit of copy in the way that you prep that URL path. LinkedIn ads, this is the one we just went through. If you wanted to do your audience network, you can have a little bit of a different description there. But I think most people are doing the headline in the introductory as well as an image. And this is for LinkedIn text ads. So without the image, this is a shorter headline, shorter description there. Those are the ad specifications there. Facebook ads, Facebook feed ads. Primary text is 125, headline is 40, description up to 30. I think some of this, it works for Instagram as well. There are some similarities there. I feel like there's a million different formats for Facebook ads, but this should get you going in the right direction. You can see that there are a lot of similarities between these. Some are a little tighter, some are a little longer, but just by plugging in those different character counts into the prompt sequence that we just went through, you should be able to reproduce all of this for whatever platform you're running ads on. So I hope you got something out of this video. I think that it is very helpful to have ChatGPT as an extra third party, helping you make sure that you're understanding all the different benefits, all the different pain points, all the different tone directions that you can take with your ads, and then refining those over time. So again, I have all of this in the cheat sheet format with even more information on some top performing ads. There's some great links in there, as well as all of the prompts that you can just copy and paste into ChatGPT. I also have some coaching in there. I've been really enjoying helping teams deploy AI in bigger and better ways across all their marketing and their decision making. So if that's something you're interested in, hit me up there. Otherwise, I really appreciate you watching the video. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and comment. I love hearing from you. Otherwise, I will see you on the next video.
Make your dreams come true.